This is Dwayne at RealFixesRealFast.com. You know, many times we want to access the fuel pump because we're suspecting it as being bad. You can put your fuel pressure gauge on there and it'll actually show you if you've got good pressure. But that's the mechanical side of the fuel pump. The electrical side is to look at the waveform, to look at the electrical integrity of the fuel pump. Now the big problem is always, how do you gain access to it? Well, there's various different ways and locations. We happen to be working on a 2000 Jeep Wrangler with a 4.0 engine, and it has a relay set up for that. So we're going to show you how to do that. So we'll work on more than just this Wrangler. It basically will work on any that have this type of a relay set up for you. Now we've got the relay box right here. It's one of the reasons I'm showing it because the access is so good, but it may be buried a little bit in whatever vehicle you're working on. But when you open this up and you look at the lid, it tells you where the fuel pump relay is at. If it's not on the lid, you may have to look at your electrical diagram. But in this case, this relay right here is our fuel pump relay. Now we pull the relay out, and if you look at this relay, most of these relays have a diagram on them, and you need to know how to read the diagram. But in this case, you can see 30, which is pin number 3. When you jump that to 87, which is pin number 5, then the fuel pump should run. Now which one is 3 and 5 or 30 and 87? Well, when you turn the relay back over and look at the pins, this one is 3 and 5. Some of these will be labeled 30 and 87. But just go according to your diagram. The other little quick tip is on these, you can always tell that these narrower pins are your computer control side, and the big pins are going to be where the power actually flows. So when we take this relay out, you can see the 3 narrow pins, the control side, go on the back, and then the 2 larger ones where your current's going to flow go on the front. Now basically all we have to do in here then is just jumper this. In other words, place these on the front too. So we put this one in here, and we put this one back here, and you should hear the fuel pump run at that point. The key doesn't even have to be on. The fuel pump is running. Now in this particular scanner, I'm going to choose scope meter, I'm going to choose lab scope, and I'm going to choose low amp probe, 20 amps. Now you can see our window is open. Got the low amp probe plugged into the top. I'm going to turn it on and zero it, and then we're going to hook it around this wire. Now you can see your pattern. And when you first hook it up, if you don't see anything, it's a polarity problem. It's actually going to display down lower. You can change your scope, or you can just simply change the polarity by turning this over, and you can see your pattern. Now this is a good electrical pattern. We've got it set on 10 milliseconds. You should have at least 8 humps across here. If we freeze this, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're reading somewhere between 4 and 5 amps. Turn it back on, and that's our good pattern. Now this is going to show you the power side, and you can see that we've got a good waveform, but that's not the control side. Now this is simply bypassing the relay to make the fuel pump run, and you can see the electrical integrity of the waveform. Now I want to tell you one other thing. We'll take this off, we'll pull our jumper wire out. You can just make up your own little jumper wire. Now that is showing you the current going to the fuel pump, but that is not the control side. I wanted to show you this little thing. Lyle has come out with this relay test jumper kit, and this is a good way to do basically the same thing, but you can also test the control side. They have various ones of these to match the relay. As you can see, you can see the relay is made to match, so you can actually plug this in place of the relay, but then all those terminals come up to the top and give you test ports where you can access the relay. You can actually plug this in place, and then you can do the same thing with your jumper wire. You can just jumper right across there, Take your low amp probe, put it around that wire, and you can see it's going to display the pattern just as well. Now the one thing I like about this device, you take the jumper out and you've got access here to test the control side to see whether or not that relay is actually being commanded on. It's always been a problem gaining access to the relays because they're buried down in here. Well, that actually brings it to the surface. Now you can use your multimeter, you can gain access to any of these points, and you can actually jumper them from up here as well. So anything down here, now you have access to up here. They're pretty handy little devices.